opened up and started, I'm going to try to find links that I know will be critical.
You don't
Okay.
have those
Um,
critical links ready, even though we're live right now? Come on, Bonz.
Dick.
Well, you know what it is. So,
Welcome
am I able
to,
to do that though from my phone?
yeah,
Let me do this.
maybe.
Go ahead, buddy. You go ahead and start. I'm gonna just send them to you in Telegram. Okay, I'll just send you
Yeah,
the
yeah.
link.
Just
So
send
you
us
have it.
links. We can whip up whatever balls.
Welcome
For
to
sure.
an
Those are pros.
impromptu doubleheader kicking off this week's NFT Game Days. We're excited to have Bonz here to talk about the Prospectors land sale, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I know it was kind of short notice, but yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Corey, I know it's only Thursday, but can we watch some rockets blow up?
Yes, of course we can. Hold on. Need to find NFT Game Day, baby. Let's rock and roll.
I'm not the bubble. 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 I'm not the bubble.
All right, so I just dropped in the link to buy PGL. So I think I still have like a small pile of PGL, knowing that.
Yeah, you might want to
guys
check
would-
on that because it's it's worth something. Like you can be buying lands with it, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah,
That's good because yeah, I was thinking
PGL.
about getting some prospector land. I'm just like I'm officially getting to that point where there's too many fucking cool projects, and it's
Yeah.
just fuck.
No, I totally get it, man.
That's the I just threw the drop link down there as well. All right, so this I mean I guess we should do some gratitudes. I was actually have the game up, and then we can get into it. Boink. And you know, next time we'll get you guys up there. What?
What do you guys got? Oh, is that bill? You guys got There's billboards now. I don't think I saw that billboard. What's that thing
there's
advertising? Oh, NFT
there's
token.
tons of billboards. We're billboarding it up over here in the Uplift world.
Yeah, I don't know. I started messing around with this idea, and like on the show, like we walk by this every day. We actually put like a crypto writer thing up.
Yeah,
just
that's
as a
smart.
lark, right? And we're just hanging out, and like every time I pass by that thing, I'm like, man, that's crazy. Then of course we're talking to NFT about their big token drop, you know, doing that whole thing, and you know they've been super supportive of us. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's rock and roll. Good.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good placement too. If you're walking by it every day on stream.
Right,
It's a
this is going to
premier-
be prime.
That's like
prime
premier. Yeah,
advertising
that's
space.
absolutely.
Give it a couple months.
All right, Bonz, what are you grateful for this morning?
That's gonna look like Times Square, and by next year, that spot's gonna be blown up.
Right.
So yeah, this morning, geez, I'm thankful as I wake up early to do this interview for Prospectors. I'm gonna say I'm thankful for Prospectors today because it's gonna bring me back to the first time I really got into the Wax was Prospectors of course was one of the first maybe even the first actual game to launch on Wax. It was certainly the first play to earn and the first game you could play where you were, staking your tokens and being able to earn on them as well. But having said that, yeah, if the weekend team hadn't expanded from the EO chain and moved over to Wax shortly after they launched, I probably wouldn't have got exposed to the ecosystem so early. And yeah, that's it's been the Wax community and this whole ride that we've all been on together has been amazing. So I am thankful to Prospectors and the Weekend team for making the move to Wax and getting us on there early and getting us on the
Hell yeah.
train.
Legit. Jimmy D.
Yeah, I'm grateful for blockchain land ownership in general. I think it's cool to see what's happening. It's great that Prospectors is doing
Absolutely.
it. There's tons of projects, not only on Wax. There's tons of projects doing it, and it's going to revolutionize the world. One piece of land at a time.
Yeah, agreed. I'm really grateful for just play to earn generally this morning. Obviously, hashtag Prospectors, hashtag Our Planet. Our Planet was my
Hashtag
first mate,
PDE.
right? Was my my first real exposure to it. Just because Prospectors, like I didn't have time or brain power to do that. Like we put a little team together. We were in the game. We were having fun with the rail expansion or whatever. And it was, I mean, it's seriously fun. So involved. It's like so involved. And this is one of the reasons why, being a long-term fan of Our Planet, no matter what, is so easy. The amount of thought that went into balancing the game dynamics of Prospectors. This is the same team that's working behind the scenes on Our Planet. And like Prospectors is complicated as fuck. Like there's a lot going on. But it
there is a lot going on.
It all actually works, right? Which is cool.
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday. Like what's actually, just playing it, of course there's a learning curve. We've talked about this before. And what's under the hood is what makes it actually ridiculously impressive. I really didn't even realize it until and I've been playing the game for 2 years, but I really didn't even think about it on that level until I was actually out in Ukraine, chilling with the guys. Slavic, he's like the main smart contract developer. The guy's like a genius, and just really like digging into like what's really involved. And I really started thinking about it, and I was like, man, you think about what's involved with the actions, and you're basically, with one click of a button, you're basically performing an action that's like setting your worker, with a tool in his hand to a specific plot to get to that plot, to tell that plot that he's taking that job, to take that money from that player, and then have your player perform that job, and then have that job be actually executed in whatever that job entails, and all the different actions that spin out of that. You think about all those actions that are actually involved as far as, and the fact that it's a financial transaction, and it's all
Right.
on chain, and you're doing that every single time you're doing something that seems so sort of mundane, like, oh, I'm just sending my guy to work. But it's like, you could be sending them halfway across the map, and it all takes place in one transaction, which, as I'll point out, is all that CPU is covered by the Weekend team. It was the first game ever, actually, the first product on Wax where all the users' actions were actually covered by CPU. But yeah, I wanted to get back to what
that was one of the reasons for porting over too, right? Was because it wasn't doable on EOS, and
you're exactly right.
And I like what you said about that. Like, I never thought about that before either. But like, I remember, when we were playing, I was always like, the action thing is cool, but just the logging, like when you open the player window and you can see all the jobs that they can do, all those calculations are there. How long will it take to get here? Like, what can you earn? Like, there's a lot of back end calculations. I never actually realized that before.
Yeah,
you're completely right when you pay attention to it. I mean, mostly I'm just complaining that it's taken 5 hours for me to walk and I can't do anything with that guy for the next 5 hours. But I should be like probably grateful about the fact that like I actually know how long it's taking, because it's probably no easy to code in.
Right.
So that's why you need a horse. But anyway, I wanted to the horses and the donkeys are key for anybody who knows about the speed multipliers. But Jimmy, I was going to actually totally sort of build off of what you were saying in the gratitudes, because you were basically talking about true land ownership, and that basically made for a perfect segue to kind of talk about the differences between like what all the lands previous and even like what we did, which was kind of like the hyper version. So when we kind of, when I introduced you guys to Prospectors, we were doing the Boomtown, right, which is sort of like the opposite of what this game is. It's sort of like it was a specific part of our beta testing phase, which has now been going on for over 2 years, 3 years really, and then the alpha before that. But yeah, I mean it's taken a lot of time to come to where where the point that it's at now. But the Boomtowns specifically are like are like hyper test of the game. Everything's happening very fast. Everybody's basically rushing the whole time, and you're super under the gun, and your ROI, you're basically on this razor thin margin of if you make the wrong decisions or you don't have the right support and you pay more to get something done fast, you're immediately chewing into your ROI. It was more an exercise in economic strategy and timing and time management than anything else. Whereas what really makes this this map and this whole major game release, that's kind of like, as I see it, like, coming out of this alpha phase, this is kind of like the real vision of what Prospector should be after all these different iterations and dialing it in. We now have the land as NFTs. So you do have true land ownership, which is, first of all, a major change from having to pay rent, right? Which is more akin to what it is in real life, right? Like we're all paying taxes on our land. So in a way, it's like kind of, we're kind of renting it from the government. But in Prospectors now, there's no more rent. So it is true land ownership that you could basically sit on forever. You don't have to rush. The minerals that are on your land are there forever, and you could just have your 3 workers there with their hands if you wanted to, gathering those resources up and putting them in your store and just having them up for sale. And it could be just as simple as that, and have basically a business going theoretically and definitely as passive income. But yeah, having the true land ownership is probably the biggest change of this new map. The other major change, of course, is like the actual size of the map. So it's like twice the size. So like even the big permanent maps that are like 50 by 50, this thing's like 100 by 100. So it's like 10,000 plots as opposed to like right around 5,000. So it's huge. And so again, yeah, the horses are going to be important. So keep a lookout for the auction as well, where there'll be some in-game assets like horses and stuff.
So the first one was the Wild West. The second one was the Yukon in terms of main maps. What's this one?
So it's the Grand Land, and this is sort of the the main, going to be probably the main map, and so the other 2 original maps, of course, will connect by train. And I've had some good questions about that too. People are kind of wondering how those worlds would work, but I still see it as people who have stuff there, and who knows, like who really knows what will happen with those other lands, if people will migrate their stuff to the Grand Land, or if people will be migrating some of their stuff from the Grand Land back to the permanent lands, to the original land, I should say, like to keep their shops going there. Say, for example, if they're still sitting on a mine and they're still working on getting their stuff out. Like there's endless possibilities. It really just depends on how set up you are in the old lands, as to probably how you'll play that strategy. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. There's definitely going to be a train, going back to each of the original lands once the railroad gets built. So yeah, they'll all be connected.
So like the theme kind of for the Wild West was like, I guess, just the first original, Prospector idea. The second one was, it was kind of a resource-rich Yukon territory, but it was like a little bit, like dangerous and a little bit more difficult to get going. Is there a theme other than just the land ownership aspect for the third one?
I think it's going to be well, as far as the map goes, I think it's going to look more like the Wild West, right? So it everybody we made the trek into the cold Yukon. Grizzly Jones, we sent him up there to do some scouting, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a nice warmer climate, which I think is a little more pleasing to the eyes. But yeah, I think the major difference is like I said, because the map is so huge, the amount of resources in it is totally different too. So when Wild West launched, it originally had I think the largest gold mines were 32 million gold, right? Which is like the equivalent of 32,000 PGL, I think, right? So basically, these ones now have the biggest land plot. Basically, there's 70 million PGL that's going into this map. So it's huge. It's like more than double the amount of gold that's basically been in any of the other maps. So there's going to be 200 plots that have 100,000 PGL. So to put that into perspective, first of all, at the current prices of PGL, that's like almost $15,000 worth of PGL. So there's 1,000 different gold plots, right? So there's 200 with 100,000 PGL, 400 with 75,000 PGL, which is still more than twice what those original full gold mines. So another big change from Wild West to Yukon was, so this is part of what I was explaining about the dialing in. I mean, this really took to balance this economy properly, really took many years, because like if you think about the progression, we went from 32 million gold being the max plot in Wild West with a certain sort of mining multiplier. They went to 16 million gold in the Yukon, and the mining multiplier was somewhat the same. So but then of course the experiments with the boom towns, we realized, like, you know, changing the multiplier and how fast it's coming out of the ground was a great tool. And so doing this grand land and seeing that this is going to be where people are going to kind of post up, and this will, you know, this map will take years with plenty of resources and plenty of economic activity going on. So yeah, having said that, there's a ton of gold, way more gold than has been on any of the maps, and the mining multiplier is slowed down. So basically, there's 3 times as much gold, and it's going to take even slower to get out of the ground than it took originally on the Wild West map. So this means basically, like, you know, it could be if you have one of those full gold plots, it could take you know, who knows how long. Even if you were hustling, it would take a long time to get all the gold out of the ground, which is really good too, because then it really creates longevity for the game. You don't have these big mining plots all getting mined out, and this huge supply of PGL coming out early, and a lot of economic activity, and then of course it's slowing down, right? So you want like almost steady economic activity for years to come, because you know, that's really what makes the game. When especially when new people are trying to check out the game, they want to have jobs. If they're just learning the game, the easiest way to learn is like go work a job. And yeah, I just saw the question pop up here for Richard. Can you create a brand new account for the Grand Land? So you'll just use your regular Wax account. You can create a whole nother Wax account specifically for the Grand Land if you want. But I believe you'll be able to use your same Wax wallet and choose either what you like to play in the Yukon server or the Grand Land server, because you're of course allowed to have workers on all three of the maps: the Wild West on EOS, on Yukon on Wax, and now of course the Grand Land on Wax as well.
Yeah, so I there's one more question from Paul. Are all land resources guaranteed? I'm assuming no, but
What do you mean by are the lands are guaranteed? Yeah, so when you buy a land pack, you're guaranteed to have a plot on the map. What's on that land plot is what's totally random, right? So yeah, of course, as we were just saying, right, there's 1,000 gold plots in the map, but there's 10,000 actual total spots in the map, right? So that means obviously there's a lot of plots that aren't going to be gold plots. But as you guys know from the game, as we learned really quickly, you really need everything. Like the game doesn't work without somebody doing all the jobs, right? So the more that people, you know, and it's like all those other jobs, you know, whether you're running a sawmill or whether you're running like an iron furnace or a tool shop, they all work together, right? Like none of them can function without the other. So it really makes every single shop be as critical as any other shop. Like no gold mining will get done without tools, and unless someone actually builds the tool shop, nobody's getting any gold out of the ground, right? So especially if they're, you know, when there's fewer of any one particular shop, those people have, you know, more of a a lockdown on that market, right? And ultimately, it's just a free market of all these different items, from every ground mineral to the trees, to the rocks, to all the like finished products, which are like, you know, the steel plates and the wood handles for tools, and the tools themselves, and the wagons and carts and all that stuff, you know, right? Wheelbarrows, right? All those items are fungible tokens, and it's like, it's just a free market, right? So whoever creates them, and whoever you know, supply and demand basically essentially rules it, and you know, it's just a free market. So it's kind of beautiful to watch it play out, and for it to see it how it is all balanced within such a real life based sort of, you know, economic model.
Sorry, I'm just smiling about something that's almost completely irrelevant. Corey mentioned this yesterday or 2 days ago, I think, on our stream. It's like trying to explain the difference. Like, they're trying to teach somebody that, like, what an NFT is, and then how it differs from like a fungible token. And people don't even understand fungible tokens. I just want everyone to know out there that how I learned about NFTs was I was writing an article, and I contacted Bonz, and we had like a 2-hour private conversation where he walked me through it, and using Prospectors as an example. And it was believe it or not, it was one of the best, like, easiest learning experiences. So every time you say like non-fungible tokens, and it just makes me smile, because I remember that moment in time. I have a question.
That's awesome.
So walk us through the process of buying land. So I'm a person who wants to get some lands. Like, tell us what you need to do. Like, is it randomized? Like, is there a window? Is it like a bidding? Explain to us, like, especially.
It's a great question. That's a great question, man. You're and I expect, you know, we just saw, of course, Wax get listed on Binance last week. Congrats to all Wax holders.
Right.
But yeah, there's probably like new people, you know, I imagine, as always, right? The space is growing so fast. There's new people. I've seen a ton of comments in the chats. People are just coming into Wax now. They're just, you know, figuring out the hard way about CPU, unfortunately, as we saw happen on US a couple of years ago. It's kind of funny because it's kind of deja vu, because you know, I remember, you know, you guys remember when IDOS all of a sudden became a thing when it wasn't a thing previously, and then all of a sudden it was like a whole bunch of people learned really quickly about what CPU actually is. But anyway, yeah, so on Wax, yeah, CPU. But anyway, having said that, Prospectors covers the CPU for its users, so we'll actually never have to worry about that. So that's actually really cool. So for a new player, there are a few specific actions, I think, which you need to have a CPU, but those are actions you would only need to do maybe once a day, or once a week, or once whatever. And so you would have that covered by the Wax team anyway. Yeah, I lost my train of thought now, but I was going somewhere with that, and I apologize. What were we talking about, Corey?
So
Bring me back. Bring me back. Oh, it was Jimmy.
Walk us through the process. Like, how?
Okay, I remember the new players. Sorry, I started going off on a tangent about the new players coming to Wax and CPU. Yeah, so new players are coming to Wax. You're exactly right, dude. They are getting a crash course in learning, you know, sort of the Wax ecosystem. But as we all know, like, Wax Hot Wallet makes it at least really easy to at least get your foot in the door if you're especially if you're like kind of new to blockchain in general, and maybe, you know, crypto is a little bit intimidating for some noobs just coming into the space. So yeah, Wax Hot Wallet kind of like, you know, is that like sort of easy way to get in the door. And then of course, as people, you know, learn the space, they might want to get like a self custody wallet. But all you need is a Wax Hot wallet to play the game. And for the land sale, you're going to need PGL tokens, right? And I know this is probably like a friction point, especially for new people maybe just coming into the Wax ecosystem. But I will just say this. Obviously, getting Wax tokens now is easier than it's ever been. You can get them on now Binance as well, but also KuCoin and like Bittrex and probably 15 other exchanges. So you're just going to basically send your Wax from your exchange into your Wax Cloud wallet. Your whatever .wham is your Wax address. So that's all you got to enter when you're trying to withdraw. Enter that address. Boom. You'll have it pretty quickly because Wax is, you know, basically instant and basically free to send around. So you're off to the races, and you're going to log into Alcor, which is a DEX, and you don't need to send your tokens there. It's just like logging in to Uniswap with MetaMask. You just basically log in with your Wax wallet. and you're going to actually we drop that link specifically right to the pair, but you're going to be looking for the PGL wax pair, and just basically, you know, as long as you know how to use an exchange, you'll be all set. If you don't, you know, you can make a limit order or a market order. I don't know if we want to go into like making. I know sometimes it's a little bit intimidating, especially for noobs. They see an actual like exchange. I really wish there was a swap. Hopefully, maybe one of those will show up really soon, where there'll just be a you know a more user friendly interface that people can just basically say, yeah, I have some wax, I want PGL, click a button, boom. But that's basically the same as going into Alcor and hitting market. So if you just make a market order and you hit buy and put in how many wax you wanna buy, you can hit one button and you'll have your PGL. So you'll need PGL to buy the land, and then you'll just follow the link to the land sale, which is we built the portal for that sale ourselves. So you'll come right to our website to ourplanet.io, and there's actually a link specifically to get right to the prospector sale. And yeah, once you have your PGL,
So, hey,
and go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on there right now. I was actually trying to find my old prospectors account. I can't find it. I'm a fucking idiot. I'll have to dig that up somewhere. Figure out how we did that. So I'm gonna go and I have to use Wax Cloud Wallet or does it support Anchor?
That's a really good question.
Like Wax
I
Cloud
assume
Wallet or Scatter, and Scatter it's kind of useless right now.
I still use
That's
Scatter
fair.
all the time, but I use them both.
Yeah.
But Scatter
Yeah.
is still totally worked I think
Does
it's an API thing. As long as you have it set to to an actual working API, it still works
Okay.
perfectly. But and you know, actually, you know, because believe me, you know, I hear what you're saying, but you know, the one advantage
Honestly,
that
I don't
Scatter
care
actually has.
if I need to use Wax Cloud Wallet. I don't give a fuck. I'll just use my Wax Cloud Wallet.
Oh yeah, no, I hear you.
I'm not complaining, dude. Enough complaining, so none of that is going to happen on this show.
No, but just
know what to do.
you know the you know James brothers defense, you know, the one thing that Scatter actually has that Anchor doesn't still is that you can auto whitelist transactions. So of course, like using the generator tool, you can just open your Scatter, and it gives you that option that you can select all the things. You hit whitelist, you slide over that little toggle, and now you can use like things like the generator tool, where it's just gonna you know, whereas Anchor, you're gonna end up getting stopped out and have that like have to click the button again every single time, and you also, you know, get the CAPTCHA and shit like that. Whereas you can actually just auto whitelist that transaction on Scatter. So Scatter is actually a useful tool in some cases still. But yeah, obviously the James brothers are doing good stuff over there at Ultra. So
dude, don't get it twisted. I love Scatter. It just
oh yeah, we all love.
So if
we
there's
all
if there's
love
a way
Scatter.
to fix
There's
it,
no
then
doubt.
I'll totally do it.
I just wish the community, or not the community, I just wish they would have been funded so they could have kept going and developing, right? Like that.
Oh, dude,
that's why
the
I'm
biggest
chuckling
loss.
about it. I'm like,
You're 100% right, man. I mean, you think like, dude, like you know, Ultra made out like champs by
Right.
just scooping up, you know, some of the most talented guys in the space that were just basically being ignored by the ecosystem that they basically helped get off the ground. Like you guys remember, like we would have never launched the chain. We needed 15% votes. There was no voting portal. Like, you know, people are using Clio. They're like putting out instructions on how to use the command line interface, how to like operate, you know. And if it wasn't for the Scatter brothers, like with that, you know, making that extension so that you could at least get your a vote in, and with a reasonable, without being like some kind of super shadowy coder nerd, whatever the term was that they tried to call us, shadowy super coders. But yeah, little shout out to the haters.
Yeah, so
on that one.
So Richard has a question as well, just before we miss it, because he's posted this twice. Oh, sorry, it's a different question. Never mind. So he wants a couple clarification points, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's clarify away.
So I love this. He's asking about violations. Is it a violation to create a new Wax account, a new user account for the Grand Land? That's a great question. I don't know. I like the fact that you're asking about violations. That's fun.
No, yeah, it's true. No, it is true because Wax is. I mean, Prospectors is one of the few games that we don't want people multi-accounting, right? So it would provide an advantage, but of course, as Richard pointed out, yeah, you could just start a brand new account. But what you're saying is you want to begin fresh. When you log into the Grand Land, it is like beginning fresh, bro, because you're gonna have 3 brand new workers and a brand new account that has zeros all up and down the board, and it's gonna be a fresh start on a brand new land. So I would stick to using the account you already have because that makes it easy, and then that way you won't end up with errors when you move back and forth. If you do pop back into to the Yukon, you're going to end up with sometimes then it's reading like cookies and it's finding like your email login. It's going to start telling you you're logging in with the wrong account, and like it's just going to cause you problems. But yeah, of course you could you could begin with a new account as well.
And one more. He wanted another clarification. Oh, never mind. It's the same thing. He just reworded it. I apologize.
Yeah, no big deal. Okay. Yeah, happy to answer questions, man. There's of course, as you guys kind of point out earlier, there's a learning curve to prospectors. A lot of people are new to this space. They haven't really even tried it before. Or some people, maybe they came in and they tried it in their first try, as you guys saw, was the Boomtown, which is kind of a totally different deal. Like Boomtowns are hard. Like I think I scraped by on the first one, maybe by the skin of my teeth, maybe came out ahead a little bit and got some ongoing passive income by helping build the railroad with those PSS shares. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, one of the things that Prospectors does, besides giving back every PGL that's spent within the game, some portion of that goes back to the stakers. A lot of it goes back into the game, but yeah, I literally was trying to make a point there, and I kind of lost that point. What was Richard's question again?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is like we can hear.
Yeah, it's early for me. I never do that.
I hear legit. Yeah, like the you can do account, but you kind of don't need to because you're going to start anyway. That's sort of the right.
Yeah, that's what we were basically saying is once you have an account, you are kind of like starting fresh. But so when we were talking about the Boomtown, sorry, I got distracted. So when we were all playing together, right. Some people's first experience was maybe the Boomtown, and the Boomtown's freaking hard, as we all saw. I probably lost money in the Boomtown that we were all doing together just because we were trying to rush and trying to make shit happen. It's almost not enough time to set up a gold mine and mine gold efficiently unless you actually had a whole bunch of people working together that were all really on top of it. Whereas the Grand Land is totally different, right? So first of all, there's no rent, and there's no time limit. So you have it's just a completely different type of game. So there's no element of if you don't do something in time, you're not making money, because essentially once you have this plot of land, no matter what it has on it too, I just want to reiterate, gold mining of course is everybody wants a gold mine, right? Because you like to sit on that pile of gold. You can quickly do the math of I'm sitting on a 10 grand pile of PGL right now. You can feel like you're getting that. But I just want to remind everybody, it's as you guys saw with our run in the Boomtown, was that if you're sitting on a pile of trees or a pile of iron ore, it could be literally worth as much as gold. It's just a matter of supply and demand, like we were talking about earlier. All the minerals are totally valuable. So if you get a plot and it's sitting on 60,000 kilograms of ore or whatever the case may be, you're just gonna know that I'm gonna build an ore mine, and I'm gonna work with bro who has a iron furnace, and we're going to crush iron and steel, and that's going to be our whole deal. We're going to build a business out of steel, or or you link up with an alliance that needs an iron ore mine, whatever the case. You just set up shop, and you can just at your own leisure essentially be mining that ore out forever, or you could sit on that ore and play the long game, and know that at some point, as we've seen with some of the other permanent worlds like Yukon, right? Like people kind of sat on the trees, and then the trees just became super valuable because people who bought up a bunch of tree lots early were just kind of sitting on them. And so there wasn't enough trees basically in the market. So of course the price of trees was like through the roof, like for wood. But then that's just the reality of it, the supply and demand. So you kind of have that dynamic. And then if tools are more expensive, it basically makes all the people who are selling minerals, they have to price that in. So just like in the real world, if you're paying a ton for your tools, and your tools are breaking, you got to price that into your product. Your products are going to kind of be more expensive. It keeps the whole economy going. So and it all like remains in balance, because the more as wood becomes higher and higher price, there's more of an incentive for someone who's sitting on a wood plot to go cut all that wood down and dump it into the market because the price is high. So it's a natural supply and demand, and a natural balance, just like a free market should be.
There's
Amen
too
to
many
that.
rabbits.
Amen to
Release
free
the
markets.
hounds.
Exactly.
Okay. A couple things I want to go over too, because I think this is cool the way that you guys put this together. So you've got quarter percentiles, out of 100, what happens to the PGL that's collected from the land sale. So I think this is a really well thought out thing. Personally, 25% of the PGL that you guys get will go to fund new lands. 25% of PGL will go to fund rewards. 25% of the PGL will go to fund the game events and development fund, and 25% of the PGL will be burned to decrease the maximum supply. So that's pretty cool that 25% out of all the lands that you have is going to be burned to decrease the maximum supply. But I'm just kind of curious about I guess, like the funding new lands, the funding rewards, and the funding game events and development fund. If you wanted to maybe just go into that a little bit deeper, so people can know what to expect from this grand land, and again, how the gameplay might be a little bit different from what they're used to in the Wild West or in the Yukon.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. Yeah, so of course, the burning part is pretty self-explanatory, right? And that's one of the cool things about the token, right? So you have multiple dynamics that are basically working to increase the value of the token, as we've seen over the years, right? Like, and now there's this actual demand for the token because people need it again to get their slice of this land. Also, is deflationary by nature, because of course that burning mechanism has always been there, and so the token, of course, was a fixed amount, and it's now been like decreasing ever since. Of course, more of it's come into existence every time they've launched a new land. But as of this land, it's a little bit different. And so, of course, as in the other lands too, like there was an actual land expansion. And so that's another thing that people have actually asked a few times. People said, what will happen in a bunch of years as this land, if it gets depleted, right? Well, the map can always expand. It's happened before. We've expanded the map on EOS because that's our oldest map, where we just basically make it bigger. Like the outside edges just grows. Like there's clouds basically that kind of reach the edge of the earth, so to speak, like on the edge of the lands, and those clouds lift and expose new land. Like sometimes it's like a little block off to the side. Sometimes it's perfect rows that go all the way around. Like I know a couple rows were added in the past, and so yeah, so that's that part of that fund, whether it was 20% or 25%, is actually to continue basically be able to put resources back into the game, more gold plots, etc. if the map ever expands. And the other 25%, which is rewards, is kind of what I was explaining about before, where you can actually just stake your PGL in the bank. So there's a bank right in the center of town. In the center of town, you're always going to find like the bank and the university and the jail and all those other city buildings. And so yeah, when you're mining your PGL, there's actually incentive to keep your PGL in the system and stake it and get staking rewards. And now, and I'll just kind of point this out because it's like, imagine all the people who staked. I actually know some people who did this, who had been staking all the way since the original EOS Wild West land, right? So they were staking PGL. So they mined a bunch of PGL 2 years ago when it was a few cents, and then had it collecting interest in the Prospectors Bank for the last 2 years. So their PGL stack had grown huge, and now of course the token, has totally come back in value, and now they can be, of course, reinvesting that into the grand land, and also maybe take some profits along the way, and it's really been a great long-term hold for anybody who really believed in the game, and especially for those who kept their tokens staked in the bank and have been earning interest on it the whole time. So not only are they stacking tokens from just playing the game, they're also earning interest on those tokens. So and of course, like this if this is people should look at this as an indication about what the weekend team does. And people had said at one point that the PGL token was when it was at the bottom, people like to FUD. We've all heard it. The token's low, and people are like, so as usual, human psychology, people like to sell the bottom and quit when it's only a matter of time before the token is going to come back, just like we see with a lot of other projects that stick to it. And if you stick to it, usually as long as you have a real project with a real real product, and people are building
I don't know
stuff.
what the hell you guys are doing over there, because like there's no FUD around here.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, it's in the space. It's in the space. If you look hard enough, you can find it. But yeah. So anyway, it's like
I just want to make it fun. Like we need like an animated GIF that we can throw up on the screen every time there's FUD. That's just like a bunch of guppies swimming around, like like away from the sharks, just to make Corey smile and Bonz smile and all these people that have to deal with this every day. Like that would be fun. Yeah. So I guess another question from Unspotted Gamer Random. It's a great name, by the way. Is there some overview of the Grand Land before the Grand Land is going to release? I'm not quite sure what that means myself. So
wait, what was I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll put it up too. Is there some overview of the Grand Land before the Grand Land is going to release?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, you can imagine, actually, maybe you can't imagine because maybe you've never seen it before. But, if you take like what the current maps look like now, like say the Wild West, and then just imagine it with not a single building in the entire map, right? Just a gigantic expanse of trees and rocks, because that's basically all you see is just the landscape, right? There's going to be no buildings built. And so yeah, again, I'll run through. So like because someone kind of asked this earlier. So yeah, when you buy your land pack, you're essentially getting a random plot on the map, right? You really don't know what's going to be on that plot. And so when you look at the map, we are going to know at some point we're going to have a pack opening, and and then of course at some point we'll be able to see the map. And when we do see the map, you're going to once you actually can put in your coordinates and see your plot, you're gonna get the first glimpse of what your plot looks like, and you might see a whole bunch of trees on it, you might see a whole bunch of rocks on it, or you might see nothing on it, in which case you need to go to that plot and explore. And even if you do see trees or rocks, you still need to explore for which underground minerals it has.
Oh yeah, okay. So I was going to lead me into it, because I remember when we played in the Boomtown, I guess a lot of some of the other maps are probably uncovered now because there's been players in there for a while. But you couldn't see anything on the central map until you walked around and explored. So I guess like when you buy a plot of land for the Prospectors land sale, you don't know whether there's going to be a gold mine on it or not. You have no idea. It's just
you don't, and that's another interesting aspect that's totally different from all the other maps, and it actually makes it kind of cool because it changes the dynamic, where the dynamic in all the other maps was, and don't get me wrong, this was really fun, but it was always this dynamic of who's going to get gold pans first, because there was a lot of power in having gold pans early, right? Because you can't explore the land and know where the gold plots are. So the entire maps used to start out as free plots. And remind me to come back to free plots too, because there is some free plots in this map. But the entire map starts out as free plots, and you basically you could just rent any plot on on the entire map that you wanted just by moving your worker to that plot and, you know, clicking the rent button, right? Well, how do you know which plots you want to rent? Well, people would just be running around like crazy, staying up for 2 days straight, searching every single plot on the map so that they could basically find and rent every single gold plot, right? Well, it kind of made an unfair advantage to the people who had gold plots, but of course it wasn't an unfair advantage. They had every right, right? Whoever made gold pans first means you had probably the most organized team. You had a huge group of people together, and usually it would be like 2 or 3 big groups that would form and be kind of racing to sort of be first with gold pans. And then, you know, usually within about a 12 to 24-hour period, all 3 shops would start producing gold pans. And then within a very short amount of time, the whole entire map would be discovered, right? So you're gonna have a completely different dynamic this time because first of all, nobody's going to be in any rush. I mean, there's still going to be a rush to get gold pans because people are going to be really anxious to find out if there's gold on their own plot. But the bottom line is whatever plot you own that plot. So it isn't going to be an aspect of whether someone can you know use that gold pan that they have and run around and try to get as many gold plots as you can. The only way to get a gold plot is basically buy that plot. So you can either buy land packs now and sort of play the lottery and just hope that you get, you know, you have a 1 in 10 chance of basically getting a crazy gold mine, you know, lottery ticket. Or basically you can wait until people open up all those land packs and go explore those lands, but then people are going to know how much that land's worth. So if you want to buy a gold mine, then you got to imagine if people know that there's, you know, 10 grand in tokens on that plot, the price is obviously going to be reflective of what's on that property, right? Whereas of right now, you could buy a land pack for $150 and then roll with it depending on what's on that land. And of course, you know, there's going to be a lot. I expect, you know, just like you would imagine, there's going to be probably plenty of wheeling dealing that gets done, right? Like people are going to open lands. You're going to find people that have you know lands full of iron ore, and someone else maybe is trying to build an iron furnace, and they want to maybe buy they're going to look for plots that are for sale that are iron ore plots, or you know, maybe someone wants to be a gold tycoon and they start buying up gold plots, you know. You know, there's going to be a lot of strategy to it, but really getting the land for the base price, which is another thing to kind of point out. We you know, we did this sale, you know, we did 2 separate whitelists for the sale. So we basically already went through and rewarded all of the, you know, we took the entire top 2,500 most active players, so basically of both lands. So basically we already have like the top 5,000 players already got their land. They already had plenty of time. They were on a whitelist. They had plenty of time to prepare and gather up their PGL. And a lot of them probably had PGL that they made from playing the game. So, you know, those people, we knew that all the hardcore people from the Wax and EOS community were already going to have their lands. And then we were going to sell basically the other half of land in an open sale, which is what's going on right now. It's live. You have plenty of time. There's still like, you know, 5,000 plots available. You can, and basically that's like to, you know, that's just going to be an open sale for all these new people that are coming into the ecosystem that still are trying to figure out how to get Wax, how to get PGL. Hopefully, you know, some of these people are coming from Binance Chain. People are maybe coming from Ethereum. Some people are just coming into the ecosystem in general that are just learning about play to earn and just learning about prospectors maybe for the first time. So yeah, there's plenty of plots available at the base price. So it's another reason why it's good is, you know, we don't have people that we didn't want it to be all the plots get bought up and then it's like a flipper game, right? Because really we were trying to discourage, we really didn't want people to be driving up the price of plots and be trying to flip them, as we see happen with a lot of, you know, there's now these guys that just, oh, there's a land sale, I'm just going to buy the land plot and flip it. And you know, some people are you know, surprised that they're not able to flip their plot for more. And that's kind of by design. We spaced out these 3 sales so that why would anybody pay more than you know, the base cost when they know there's another sale coming up. And so that keeps the secondary market, even though it's kind of counterintuitive. People, you know, and a lot of the flippers are you know, disappointed. But the bottom line is we want everyone to be able to have a chance to buy the plots for the regular price. And this is actually good for the game, right? Like you don't want people overpaying for some plot and then they open the plot and there's you know, just some, you know, maybe you know, some small amount of trees on it or something, and then they feel like they overpaid, you know, which is what we see happen with a lot of projects where people, you know, buy in on the secondary market and they overpay for crap, and and they're just basically giving all that profit to some other person who's making a lot of money, and that person is not the dev team, and it's not our team, and it's nothing to do with the game. It's you made some dude, some flipper, a bunch of money on the secondary market, and then they're in our chats or in whoever's chats complaining that you know that they're because they bought the top, and they're then complaining.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First, I like it. It's very uplifting, actually. The fact that like you don't know what plot you're gonna get, and like it's just randomized. So that's cool. Also, just to clarify, like this, I just want to make sure about this because like you have every prerogative to change your mind, and you have once before. So I just want to double check. And if you commit to this and you change your mind, it's cool. I'm not going to come in your chat and FUD. But you guys did it with the tribal books. That there was you pulled the sale after a while because it didn't sell out. So I'm just curious. It says on Prospectors that this sale will remain open until all of the land is gone. Okay. So yeah, I just want to clarify that.
And yeah, no, it's good. And of course, and with tribal books, it was more of a scarcity thing, right? Like we didn't want to keep the sale just open. We decided that the people who believed in the project early were going to be rewarded, and of course they've been hyper rewarded at this time, because if you owned any tribal books packs or cards from early on and were staking them early on in our planet and have been staking them this whole time, you've probably done very well with just sitting and holding any tribal books. But yeah, having said that, for prospectors, the land, yeah, obviously every single piece of land is important. Every plot of land on the map could be theoretically one of those max gold mines. So yeah, of course, the land sale will stay open. And in fact, people are even asking now, well, what happens if the land launches and the sale is still open? And we said that's great. That's kind of by design, right? And that's fine if it's open until then, because there's of course going to be we're going to of course do some marketing. We haven't up till this point really done any marketing for these sales, right? We wanted it to just be organic. We let the first two, of course, were whitelisted, and so we knew that those would be bought up by the people who were the hardcore players. But this sort of open sale, we just wanted to leave it open and kind of hoping, like I said, that it would just stay available for all these new players who are coming to the game, and for there to be plenty of plots available at like the base price, so that people didn't get caught up in this like land flipping secondary market sort of deal. And so yeah, we're very prepared for it. We're not only prepared for it, I'm kind of almost like, I'll be surprised. Maybe there will be some plots left, or maybe there won't. But if there is some plots left, it'll be interesting to see, because I think what people are gonna find out is that there's going to be FOMO once people start, because we saw this already. It's not we've seen this movie before, right? Like the land's going to launch, and it's going to just like what happened on EOS, right? People are going to open up some gold mines, and they're going to realize that, wait, I just explored this plot, and I'm now sitting on $15,000. Like right now, the value of even the smallest gold plot is, I think, something like over $8,000 worth of PGL. Maybe it's more by now too. But the word of that is going to get out, and then also what you're going to see is, as we've seen with every other land, there's going to be this competition for work, right? There's always more work to be done than there are workers early on. So you see this competition in the workplace, and people are going to be paying ridiculous salaries, right? And as we've seen with every one of these games, as soon as the salaries in the game become worth more than people's salary in real life, there's always this crazy FOMO, because you have people flexing on their social medias. Dude, I'm making more and more in this game than I'm making. You guys, we've seen it every time. I've seen this like 5 times. So we already know what's going to happen. People are going to start making crazy money. People are going to be like, I just opened this gold mine and it's worth 15 grand. And they're going to start flexing to their friends. And their friends are going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. How do I get in on this? What happened? And then all of a sudden you're going to see the rest of whatever those lands that are still available, they're going to start getting bought up really fast. That's kind of how I'm predicting how this is
not I am. Word up to I am, because he's got his priorities straight. He's gonna continue to build and uplift, because that's where his heart lies. However, he's gonna farm out his wife to do some prospector stuff, and he wants to know if he can put her on a tablet and do it that way. Where can you actually play the game for
you could definitely play it on a tablet. You could play it on your phone. But what I recommend to people is try to play it on something if you're new to the game. Try to make sure that you at least log on some sort of like laptop or PC, like at least a tablet, something with a big enough screen so that you can actually really see see all the commands and see the what you're looking at, because on a phone it's kind of small when you're looking at some of those details, and it's hard to learn the game without knowing what all of the functions are. So yeah, get used to the game first, because then when you open it up on a phone, it's really easy to see exactly what you're doing and what you want to do. You almost don't need to even know what the buttons are, because you know exactly what you're clicking on and what you're looking for. Even if it's a small icon on your phone, you know where it is and what you're looking for. So yeah, like if you can, try to learn it on a tablet. But of course, I played it on my phone all the time. And another thing is, it's like, the game, it seems intimidating at the beginning, but I just want to tell anybody who's just looking at it for the first time, like, I was able to teach my daughter. Like, my daughter, she got her first phone 2 years ago, and one of the first things I did was I got her a little EOS account. I named it after her. I got her a Token Pocket account, and I taught her how to log into Prospectors, and I gave her a job, and she logged in every day, and I'd check in with her every day when she got home from school, and I'd tell her, hey, did you put your guides? Did you log into Prospectors? And it became part of her regular routine, just like doing her homework or playing Roblox.
Daddy, I got homework. No, do your prospectors first.
Yeah.
I am
Hey,
here
it teaches.
for it.
I like it. So yeah.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, man.
No, just one more question. Well, a couple more actually that I wanted to get through. So I'm, familiar a little bit with this. So I'm gonna assume that these will always be NFTs. I mean, that's how you possess ownership to them. But Richard just wants a clarification on that. After you unpack it, does it remain an NFT? How does that work? For people who might not understand.
Yes, it's an NFT just like any other
ownership.
NFT. It's an NFT just like any other NFT. And what's really cool and interesting is, as you think about it, it's sort of how you're building up this NFT similar to your land NFT in our planet, right? Like, so if you have a wax on piece of land and you start upgrading that land, and now it's a level 100 land. If you put that land on the marketplace, you're selling it as a level 100 land, right? So you have a land NFT, and the properties, the metadata of that NFT can of course be updated, and you can basically continue to work on that plot. So in this case, at Prospectors, you're going to have this land NFT that belongs to you. It's in your possession. You'll be able to, of course, sit on it. You could build a mine on it. You could build a business on it. You could build a building on it. You could just fill your storage with all kinds of minerals and materials or finished products or whatever. And if you sell that piece of land, it's just like selling any other NFT. You're selling that piece of land with all of its contents. And of course, when it goes in the market, it's just like selling any other NFT. You could post it up for sale, and of course, the value is going to be really, subjective, because you're going to have, it's not just going to be a plot of land on a map. It might be a plot of land full of trees, or it might be a plot of land with a tool shop already on it. And there's going to be, a whole market around how much these lands should actually cost. You can imagine there's going to be a whole market of people. Someone could make a business out of taking a plot. Maybe what we see is, dude, there's just so many possibilities. Someone could buy cheap plots. Say a plot doesn't have a lot of resources, or somebody mines out the resources, say cuts down all the trees on the plot, and then just wants to sell that empty plot. You might have someone else who buys that empty plot and can quickly build a building on it, and then puts that finished building up on the market for someone who just wants to buy a tool shop ready to go. Right. So just like how you guys see in Uplift, you guys basically have people who are building stuff for other people as a service, building as a service, right? I'm sure we'll probably see something similar even in Prospectors. And so also I wanted to circle back to that point. We brought up earlier the free plots, right, Jimmy? And so the free plots, people asked about, in all the other lands, as a nomad, which is just a person who comes into the game without any land ownership, how can they get their foot in the door? Like, how are they going to be able to go get enough materials to go start for free, right? Because it is, of course, a free to play game. It's a play to earn game, but it's also free to play. You can basically start with nothing, as opposed to some of these other play to earn games where you kind of need to make some kind of investment in order to make something, right? So we've seen this with every map iteration. We've seen people come in with absolutely nothing and be able to make money playing the game. And one of the ways that they're able to do that is there's always been what we call in the game free plots, and a free plot is just a plot that has no ownership. And so in the Grand Land, the outermost ring of the map, basically the furthest ones from town, just like kind of how you'd expect in real life, like, right? Like you go off way off in the outskirts and you stake yourself a claim, and it belongs to no one, and you can just sort of claim those minerals for yourself. You can imagine, back in the day, the further you go out, you kind of have the wilderness, and you could just stake your claim. And so in the Grand Land, your free plots will be all the way on the outside, and those plots will contain everything from every type of mineral. Essentially, they are, it is free. It's just free fungible tokens. So some plots are going to be full of trees, and you could just send your guy out there, and you could send him out there with a wagon even, and send him out there and just cut down free trees, just like we were doing in the Boomtown, right? You guys remember we were going out to the free plots, and we'd try to find the ones that were full of trees so that you would have that faster mining rate. And we would send a guy with a wagon out there, and you could have 5 guys helping and cutting down trees and filling up that wagon. And every time that wagon's full, bring those trees back into your plot and store them in your storage, and you have free trees used forever, right? And so because of these free plots, you as a beginner, as a total nomad, someone who's made zero investment in the game, you could walk out there, you can collect yourself some wood, you could literally craft by hand a tool. And of course, these tools aren't as durable as the tools that you make in a tool shop, kind of like in real life, right? You just handcraft the tool, and it's a simple tool, so it only lasts 10 hours, but you now have 10 hours worth of work that you could do. And with that 10 hours, of course, as we were just talking about at the beginning, there's a lot of high-paying jobs. So it's totally possible to basically parlay your free tools into going and working a job for that 10 hours, getting a few PGL, using that PGL to go buy a real set of tools, work with that real set of tools, earn enough money to maybe buy a few sets of tools, then maybe level up, work a higher paying job, use that PGL to maybe buy yourself a wagon, then maybe head back out to the outskirts, and now you have a wagon and good tools. You can actually fill that whole wagon full of iron ore or trees or rocks or whatever, and then bring those free materials back into town, sell them to someone with the highest bidder, essentially. And you could see where I'm going with this. You could start with nothing and build yourself up to theoretically building any shop in the game or having a mine in the game. Buy yourself a plot of land with strictly with the proceeds that you've made from working in the game. And I saw it happen. I saw people come up from absolutely nothing I saw people come into the wax meet. I'm not. This is like a weird kind of flex, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. Like a kid a guy that basically came to me early on and wanted to work with me in the game, work for me, I should say. I gave him some tools and I helped him get started out, and I gave him, I was paying him to basically work at my plots, and he made no investment in the game. It basically had no money in crypto, and just kind of worked his way up, and of course that was his introduction to the wax scene. And then just through the rise of NFTs, he got himself into some good projects early, and the dude has like well over 6-figure crypto portfolio now. That just started from prospectors and flipping NFTs in the wax ecosystem. The kid started with nothing. The kid's got well into 6 figures now. He had made no investment into wax, like put no fiat money into the ecosystem. Just started from working prospectors and was early. Got lucky on a few NFT projects. And I actually know a few people like that with a similar story. People that just got started with prospectors and stuck to it and stuck in the wax ecosystem, and now are doing like pretty well from that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to have seen where this all came from and where we're at and where it's all going.
Yeah, that's really
Jimmy,
cool.
are you still there? I can't see you. You're
Really?
dark there, buddy. I can't see it. Yeah, you're oh, there you go.
Sorry, I guess if I go back. Yeah,
I can't see it. There you go. You got your light on, buddy. You gotta. Yeah, it's like 101. You need one of those little LED You need like a
This
little
is my
LED for
setup.
buddy.
I got this flashlight
got-
that's sitting
oh, you
on
got the
that's sitting on a glass.
Oh, a flashlight on a
Um,
glass? That's your setup? You should have it pointed
Yeah.
towards you somehow,
Well, I'm
but it
sitting.
might be too bright.
There's a couple lights out.
If there was a
up
light
above.
directly over your head, maybe you just don't want a light behind you. As long as the light's in front of you, you're good to go.
Thanks, Bonz.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to
Yeah, I'm
help, bud.
sitting in the. I wish I could show you guys the stars because it's pretty awesome. There's some cool stars. But yeah, my last one that I wanted to cover was Yana. Yana, by the way, we're gonna have to have you on the show as well. I first met Yana as part of .gems, and she's just pretty amazing, all the things that she's doing. But she has a question. She wants to know, is it still a thing that you need to log in every week? Forgot one season on EOS, not sure if it was holidays or what, but I guess it was problematic. Yeah.
Oh, so what, Jane, I don't know if it's Jana or, but yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. She's maybe talking about basically missing rent, right? So it's not once a month, was it? Or once a week, it was once a month. So once a month, your rent was due, and of course you could pay you could pay 10 months in advance if you want, so you don't have to worry about it. But the point is you have to pay rent, and so if you didn't pay rent in those permanent lands, the Wild West Yukon, you would essentially, your plot would go to auction. It's the same as in real life. Like if you don't pay your taxes on your land, the government eventually comes and steals it, right? So now it's a completely different model. Now the land plots there is no rent, and that's kind of what I was saying at the very beginning of the show. This is what probably the most important major difference to really drive home is that these land NFTs belong to you. There is no rent. You could buy it and never open Prospectors for 5 years and open the game, and your land plot is still going to be yours, and it's still going to have the same minerals that it had on it the day you bought it. So that's really what has me excited about it too, because honestly, I had like a nice little village going on the Wild West a while back, and I had some property in Yukon even too, but Wild West is really where I had my home base. And there was a period there where I got super busy, and I missed rent, and I ended up losing my tool shop, and someone bought it out from under me, and it totally discouraged me, because then I had to buy tools from the market, which just was super irritating, and it caused me to basically, honestly, I stopped playing the game because of it, and just because I didn't have tool shop anymore, and I just kind of like lost interest, and then I found myself, my profit margins were lower because I had to buy tools off the market, and so I felt like I wasn't really making as much money, and basically over time I basically ended up like selling my last plot, and I haven't even been playing for a while because of that. And so I think that this new thing really, and I think I've heard that story from a lot of people. They're like, yeah, man, I got busy and I lost my plot, and it kind of sucked. And I was like, dude, I had that same experience, so I can't underscore this comment enough, that true ownership means you have the spot and you can mine it at your own leisure, and you can take your time, and you'll never lose your plot. And so I think that's important for people to know, especially who have played the game before, and especially for those who have lost a plot because they forgot about paying rent.
Very cool. Thanks. Hey, Corey, do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
I don't. Sorry. I've been multitasking a little bit. Binance is going full KYC in 6 weeks. And so anybody who's on Binance that doesn't like that, now you know.
Yeah, I heard about that. I knew that was coming. Yeah, and I have a feeling that's going to be coming to some other popular things that we all like and use and know about. There's a lot of there's going to be a lot of push for lowering these lowering the daily limits of withdrawals from some of these exchanges, and if you're not really a true DEX, and there's a company to come after, I imagine we'll see a lot of companies going the compliant
that's
route.
the thing,
not
like
decentralized.
If there's custody, it's not good.
It's not
why
good.
We're just never gonna do it. We're like,
we have the tools. Like, you forget that.
Yeah.
Like, we have the tools. Just make it decentralized. Forget about it. Launch some code into the world like Satoshi did, and say now it exists, and whoever wants to run the code can run it, and hopefully it's decentralized enough that there's no
Uniswap
Nobody
is
did.
all you need to look at, right? Like they created
Oh, yeah.
their swap contract. It's out in the world. Anyone can use it. They've got a website. They've got all that stuff going on. You know, it's run by a team from MIT, for crying out loud. And there's a bunch of US capital, like Wall Street capital behind it. And that's all they did. Like they don't have any of your money. Ipso facto, they cannot be a custodial exchange. Like they're literally not. They're
Exactly.
at best an aggregator of what other people are doing. So it's going to be interesting. And I think eventually KYC is going to find its way into most large projects. And that's just kind of a fact of life. But I think they're way further behind than we think. And I mean, Binance can afford it. They're like what? They're burning $200 million a month for fun.
I think they have. I think they might have a few bucks saved up.
All the money.
All of the tokens.
The capital B billions.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
they print. They can print money.
They
Once
are.
once you're a money printer, then you're at a different time zone.
It's a different level. Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah, different level, no doubt. Well, yeah, guys. So yeah, I wanted to say, I know you're trying to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know, like I said, it was short notice. I know you guys are pros. You're able to whip this up pretty quick. So yeah, the sale will be ongoing. Like it's open. Like I said, you'll need PGL for the sale. The links are in the description. Don't forget to smash those likes. Hit the subscribe bell button. Follow these guys on Twitter. Join the Uplift. Join the Discord.
We
Do all
are
the
pros.
things.
Did I miss any?
We-
Did I
all
miss
the-
anything?
all the
Yeah,
stuff.
you're right. We are pros. Damn it! Thank you, Bonz. Thank you for recognizing that. That's awesome. Like the most chilled out pros you'll ever meet.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us
Slam
and
dunk.
thanks for giving us the walkthrough. I'm gonna get distracted after this and go pick up some Prospectors land myself, actually. But yeah, it was really great. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. As for me and Corey, we'll be back, I guess, in about 20 minutes. We're going to host our weekly roundtable over on the Crypto Writer podcast with some EOSIO block producers. So yeah, tune into that.
Sweet.
It should be fun, and we'll see you guys all on the flip side. Thanks.
Booyah.
Thanks for having
Cheers,
me.
guys.
Peace.
Yeah, are we still live? We are still live. Did we